Josh, my friend, thanks for having me on board today. I'm really excited about this. And, when you first invited me here, the title was something along the lines of continuing the conversation with video. And I thought, well, that sounds really kind of dainty. And it's like, WTF, what the heck are you talking about? And I thought with any conversation, before you learn a language, you have to realize what is it that language is? Why do I even want to bother learning that language to begin with? So taking what you started with, video is a language in itself, but I want to break it down into the mechanics of why you need to be doing this. What's the ROI? We talk about that. How are people making money from video? So there's a lot that I want to share with you. And first of all, I really respect everybody taking the time to be here today. I know how valuable your time is, and I respect that. So I want to make sure that I deliver the goods. And Josh, you mentioned that you're looking for those one or two golden nuggets. My job is to deliver as many of those nuggets as I possibly can. And just a bit of a backstory here. I am not a guru. I am a real estate broker. I started back in 1988. And the stuff that I learned was from the School of Hard Knocks. I went after top producing agents to find out what they were doing in their business. And that was kind of the genesis, if you will, for where I started in creating products, if you will, and doing things. It was interviews. I started doing interviews, and I think I had one of the first real estate podcasts in the industry, and it was focused on interviewing top producers and what they were doing and sharing that. And it just kind of exploded from there, and I did it all from this little train station. We live 2 hours north of Toronto on what I say is the corner of Lost and Nowhere. There's my wife, Diane. She's the talent. She does a lot of the video with me. She actually is my camera girl. There's our pet cat welfare, and me feeding squirrels, because that's basically the lifestyle I choose to lead. It's from what I've been able to do with leveraging video that has created what I'm going to call the celebrity authority, and I'll share that with you in a moment, how that's repositioned what I do, and how within real estate it can position you, the agents right now on the call, as the celebrity authority, the go-to person that people will gravitate towards to find answers to their questions. So you mentioned some stats here, Josh. I want to throw a few out here for all the left-brain people, and here's some numbers to consider. 4 billion videos are viewed each and every single day. 25% of those are done on mobile devices. That means people are sitting around with their tablets, with their cell phones. They're viewing 1 billion videos a day. And the statistic is, by 2015, 75% of all mobile traffic will be video. So the point is, it's not whether you will be there. You have to be there. And the stat that you just shared, 73% of homeowners want to work with a realtor that does video. It's up to 8% now, know how, and it was a stat from Realtor.com. So there is such a huge opportunity right now for the realtors that will take the time to master the skill. And I've been teaching agents now for the past 7 years, and I've got to admit, when I first got into this, it was hard. Cameras were expensive. Editing software was complicated. All the moving bits and pieces that you had to know to put it all together was difficult to do. So in this webinar, I'm going to share with you the shortcuts, the things that I've discovered along the way that I've implemented into my video strategies. And so my challenge is, I know you're here with a cup, and I've got a fire hose of information I'm going to spray with you, but my promise is I am not going to shoot on you. Because my job is not to make you feel guilty about doing things. I'm not here to convince you of all the reasons why you need to be doing video. I'm asking you to be open-minded, take in what I have to share with you today, and then you make that decision whether or not it's a fit for what you're trying to achieve in your business. So let's get started. Here's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to share with you 9 different types of videos that you can do, the psychology behind why video is so important, the best video camera to buy and equipment, real-life examples of what other realtors are doing, YouTube pros and cons, the 8 common mistakes that even the pros make, how to get started fast and on a shoestring budget, and then we're going to go into Q&A. So a bit of the backstory, I'm just going to whip through this quickly. As you can see, I've done 400 plus interviews and counting. My focus has been on generating content. I've been a speaker at NAR, at Inman. I've interviewed basically every top producer, all the major coaches and trainers. That's what I've been doing for the past 7 years, and being in real estate. My blog, if you want to see examples of my videos, thatinterviewguy.com, and these are nothing fancy. This is the type of video that I'm going to be sharing with you that you can be doing. Like I said, I'm not some kind of graduate school editor that studied video. I learned to do video by watching what other people did, by taking some courses, and then kind of cutting away all the BS that I didn't need to get right to the heart of what I call guerrilla style video that will help position me as that authority in my niche. And that's what I'm here to share with you today. So when we talk about what's all the fuss about with video, why is it so important? Well, video expedites the buying decision, meaning when somebody comes to your site, the likelihood of them making a decision to do something is 72% higher when there's a video. A website that has a video on it is 64% more consumers are 64% more likely to do something watching a video. And a properly optimized site with a video on it is 53% more likely to rank higher in Google. So if you think about this for a second, Google owns YouTube. The largest search engine on the planet right now is Google. And Google loves video. So if you have videos on your site and you've ranked them properly with keywords and you're focused on the SEO, all these little bits and pieces come together to make you higher or rank higher in the search engines. But here's a stat that just kind of blew me away, that when somebody lands on your website, they spend an average of about 15 seconds. With a video, they average 4 minutes on your site. Now that's huge. The fact that somebody remains on a site that long means that if that video is engaging enough to hold their attention, think of what you can accomplish by having them on your site that much longer. Will they look at your listings? Will they try to find out more about you? Ultimately, will they reach out to you because you're the realtor that they want to work with? So part of what I talk about, I call it the celebrity authority. And I'm dating myself here because I'm a child of the 60s, so I grew up watching TV. And the big thing was whatever we saw on the boob tube, on that magic box, we perceived it to be true. And if you think about the majority of the TV shows, let's say the doctor shows, well, you've got some guy walks out on a white coat, and we realize that it's a comedy or it's a drama, but they used to take those same actors and then they'd be selling pills or Alka-Seltzer, or they'd be selling medication, whatever the heck it is. So the classic used to be the guy would walk out and say, look, I'm not a doctor in real life, but I play one on TV. But that was enough of an endorsement to motivate people to want to buy. And part of why that works, it's because of this whole concept of celebrity. And we're hot-wired right now because we're so busy, we're looking for shortcuts. We're looking for people that have the answers to solve our questions. And within marketing, the formula for this is called pain, agitate, and solve. So problem, agitate, and solve. So you might want to write that down whenever you're writing an ad for one of your listings. Instead of saying lovely, 3-bedroom, whatever, think about what is it that's motivating that person in the first place to make the move. How do you agitate that problem a bit to make it a bit more uncomfortable? And then how do you solve that? Because right now within Google, the most searched term right now is how to. Anything with how to, fill in the blank. How to tune up my car. How to learn how to do video. How to stage a home. These are the most searched terms in Google. And what people are looking for are videos that will solve that, what we just said, problem. So if you can start thinking about video content, and we'll get into that further on in this presentation here of the content that you can create. But if you start thinking about how is it that you can solve somebody's problem, what are the common questions that they have that you can answer, that's how you get positioned as this authority. So that's the incredible power that video has on basically anybody that's watching it, because when they see you on the screen, and especially here on your computer, they cannot make the distinction between seeing you on a TV set, let's say some big ass, widescreen TV, or a computer monitor, or a tablet, or on your cell phone. Because as far as the brain is concerned, it's moving pictures and sound. And there's still this positive stigma associated with being on the screen that you must be the authority. It's like you're the rock star, you're the movie star. But because you're there, it still has this ginormous pull. And this is where it all comes from. Now, Dr. Robert Cialdini, if you haven't heard of this guy, I urge you to go up and find this book. Go to eBay, Amazon. This is probably, 10 times revised since I put this picture here. Dr. Robert Cialdini is the preeminent authority on influence and why we do the things we do. And he's narrowed it down to these 6 triggers. And this isn't cultural. This isn't just because we're in North America. This is global. It's actually hot-wired into our DNA why we do the things we do. And one of the big ones here, right on the top of the list, is this one called reciprocity. And I'm not going to get in all 6 of these, but I want to touch on reciprocity and authority because these are huge. Reciprocity, as I mentioned, it's in our DNA. If I do something nice for you, I invite you to a birthday party, I buy you a can of pop, whatever that is, you're automatically obliged to do the same, to return that kindness. And that goes right back to when we were a hunter and gathering society, because as some people were doing the crops and tilling the land, there were other parts of that same culture that had to go out and do the hunting. But if you're out hunting, that means you can't maintain your property. Well, there was an exchange. I will do this in exchange for you doing that. And that's this whole nature of reciprocity, and that is so huge. And how it ties into video, let's go back to that formula I just shared with you, that problem, agitate, solve. If somebody has a problem that they're trying to solve, and you happen to be the one that solves that problem because they saw you on a video and you just nailed it, it was exactly what they're looking for. Psychologically, they now feel like they have to return that kindness. Oh, so what is it? Are they going to produce a video for you? No, that's not what I'm saying. But within your video message, this is really huge, and this is where many people fall down. They forget to put in a call to action. And whenever you do a video at the end, you always want to put in some kind of call to action. Go to my website, pick up the phone, make a call, download this free special report. But that call to action is what's triggering this reciprocity. Because the person that's watching your video that wants to return that kindness is now looking for a way to do it. And by putting in that call to action, that's the trigger that helps motivate them to do the thing you want them to do. The other thing that we just touched on was this concept of authority. And again, being on the TV screen, in this case on a monitor or on a cell phone, same thing. Remember, moving pictures and sound makes you that authority. And the more often that people can see you on that screen, the more often they see you doing videos, it creates this element of know, like, and trust. So they feel like, even though they've never met you, it creates this, it's called parasocial behavior, where they feel like you're their friend, even though they've never met. And this is something that we see all the time watching TV. There's this affinity. We feel like we're part of the actor's life, even though we've never met. It's like, Brad Pitt and I, we're hanging around with the same people, and I wonder what Brad's doing this weekend. I mean, that's what reality-based TV is all about. This voyeuristic need that we have to sort of look over the fence and feel like we're a part of what's going on. This is this whole idea of authority and why it's so huge within video. So I want you to anchor that in the fleshy tablets of your heart. When you get the opportunity, go to eBay, go to Amazon, find this book. I guarantee you it will have a positive influence on what you're doing. So the thing that I've discovered through shooting videos, going to all the trade shows, NAR shows, is that there are companies out there that are trying to convince you that video is too hard to do. And they're trying to convince you that it has to be professional. You have to have the big cameras, the fancy lights. And the reason is there's an agenda behind this. And I know this kind of sounds like a conspiracy theory, but hear me out here for a second. There are companies that are charging $842 to shoot a 60-second video, $1,100 for a 90-second video, $120, 120 seconds, $1,500. So you see where I'm going here. They have a vested interest in keeping you ignorant. Because if you can't do the video, they're going to do it, and they're going to charge you a horrendous amount to do this. But here's the thing. Even if you did hire these companies to do a video, and let's call it, a talking head, or it's basically an ego video, you sitting up front of a car or in front of a house, nobody cares. Here's the sad truth. That one video that they do professionally, nobody cares. Because it's all about the frequency. It's all about getting your message out there over and over and over again, giving people multiple opportunities, remember, to get to know, like, and trust you. And that will never happen from just watching one single professionally scripted video. And when I say professionally scripted, usually they have you out front of some kind of green screen. And a green screen, if you think about when you're watching the weather on TV, the weatherman is standing out front of this big map, and you see, the clouds are moving in and all that wonderful kind of special effects. Well, in reality, that's actually a green screen that the weatherman is standing out front of, and then using computer technology, they put an animation over top of that green screen, so when you see it on your TV, it looks like they're out front of this weather map. And they use that in Hollywood movies right now, where they'll take a cityscape, and then using a green screen, they can add more buildings in the background. They can make it look like it's a big train station, whatever that is. That's what this green screen allows. Well, the point is, we're in this era right now where we're looking for transparency. And that was the whole birthplace of this concept of reality TV, that we were tired of scripted. We were tired of polished. It's all about this transparent message. And one of the best examples I can think of is a company called Domino's Pizza. And if you're familiar with Domino's, once upon a time, this is a few years back, they realized that their pizzas sucked. I mean, the quality just went down the toilet, and they were doing customer survey after customer survey, and they were just getting pounced by customers complaining that the pizzas were cold, that they were just awful. So what Domino's did is they fessed up. They took ownership of the problems, and they created a whole video campaign where they made fun of themselves. So one of the videos that really stands out in my brain is they had a pizza and they had a dog, and the caption was, "A pizza so bad that a dog won't eat it." And then the president of Domino's came out and he apologized. So they took ownership of the problem, they apologized for it, and then they made it right. So this whole concept right now of transparency, that's where we are. So bringing it back into context of doing video, what I'm sharing with you today is, by you being your authentic self, don't try to be anybody else. Don't try being anybody else because they're all taken. Be yourself. This is what people will resonate with, because there's got to be a congruency between who you are and who you are when you meet your customers. So it's kind of like on your business card, and I know you don't do it, but I've seen them, and you have too, where agents have their high school graduation photo on their business cards. The photo's got to be at least 10, 15 years old. So when they show up on the door to meet the client looks at the card, looks at the agent. They want to call 911 because they figured there's been a kidnapping. So you have to have this congruency between who you are and who people expect when they meet you. Well, again, going back to the frequency of doing videos, it creates that opportunity for people to get to know, like, and trust you in advance. Again, that's the power of video. So very quickly to this point about having to do professionally scripted videos, I've got one word to say. That's it. Let's move on to the next screen. So right now, let's get into the best camera to buy. And before I go down, Josh, any questions, anything you want me to do?
No, honestly, I think people are so digging what you're talking about right now. They can't even, because that's the way I feel right now. Like I'm like hanging on your every word, and so I think that's where the audience is right now. Really, really good stuff. So just keep rolling, and when they start coming in, I will certainly jump in.
Well, one of the most asked questions is, what is the best camera to buy? And I don't want to be contrite with this answer, but you're probably going to laugh when I tell you. The best camera is the one that you'll actually use. Because when it comes to buying a camera, you can literally spend thousands. You can spend tens of thousands of dollars on a camera. But the caveat is, the more expensive the camera, generally speaking, the more complicated it is to use, and the less likely it is that you're actually going to use it. And what we're doing today, which is web video, we're not creating video for TV, we're not burning it to DVDs, we're creating video that's going to go onto the web. I'll guarantee you that you already have the equipment you need to get started today to produce videos. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on expensive equipment. You probably have what you need right now within your reach. So I'll go through kind of like a bit of a history of what some of the cameras are, where we are today, and then I'll give you some insight into what you should be looking for. So Entry level to get started right away, right here, top left-hand corner, a webcam. I will guarantee you that basically most laptops today, most computer monitors already have a webcam built in. You can start doing videos with webcams. And this would be called a talking head style. That's basically what it is. If you're in front of your webcam and you're conveying some kind of message. Maybe it's pointers on how to stage your home. Maybe it's your rant about what's been happening. But the point is, using your simple webcam, you can already be producing videos. Bottom left-hand corner, you see this little Canon, Sony makes them. There's no shortage of manufacturers. These cameras have video functionality built into them. Now, when they first came out, yeah, they'd shoot video. The file sizes were humongous, and they didn't have any kind of anti-shaking software built into, or stability software that would take out the shakiness when you're holding a camera. So you got to understand, when you're holding something that small, whenever you kind of shake or move, it comes out in the video. You can see it's kind of shaky. Now, we'll address that in a minute because that's not really a deal breaker when it comes to producing video, but I'll come back to that in a moment. What happened about 5-6 years ago, this guy came out and it was called the Flip. And the Flip changed everything when it came to shooting video because it wasn't an expensive camera. It was about 200 bucks. But what made it really novel was it had a built-in microphone, and it had one button to power it on, and it had a big red button right in the middle. So it was basically realtor-proof. And I can say this because I'm a realtor. It was realtor-proof. You press the red button, it would start to record. You'd press the red button again, it would stop recording. And then at the side of the camera, it had a little USB connection. So all you would have to do is plug that into your computer and download the files, and now you had the video right on your computer. It had some basic editing software, and voila. You were a TV studio. And I say TV studio because if you think about what we're doing, we're producing video, getting it onto the web. That's TV. There's no difference between watching it on your computer, streaming from the web, or watching it on the TV set. It's the same. Remember, the premise is moving pictures and sound. That's the psychology behind video. Well, with Flip, it had certain limitations, and part of it was the audio quality sucked. Unless you were within about 3 feet, the further you moved away from the camera, the worse the audio got. It was limited to how much it could actually store because it had a very small hard drive. And Kodak came out with these two cameras. One was called the ZI-8 and the other the PlayTouch. Now, they're still available, and I know you're going to say, well, Michael, they've gone out of business. Well, yeah, absolutely, but they still sell the cameras. And you can still find these cameras on eBay. You can find them on Amazon, and they're about $150. The big difference between these and the Flip, I'm just going to put my mouse up here. I don't know if you see it, but there's this hole right here at the side. That was for a microphone jack. And this is crucial. When you go out to buy a camera, if you don't have one, you want to make sure that that camera has an external mic jack. Because 70% of a video is the audio. And I'll get into that further down in this presentation. But keep that in mind. When you're looking for a camera, it's paramount that it has an external mic jack. So with these two cameras, what made them different was they had memory cards, just like down here at the bottom left-hand corner. They also shot still images. They had the external mic. They were awesome. And Kodak had a run for a few years on these, and as I mentioned, they're still really good cameras. They're cheap. They're around 150 bucks, and that is an awesome entry-level camera, and it's portable. It fits right into your pocket. This is a consumer-grade camcorder. Now, that's what I have. I've got a Sony, and mine's getting a bit long in the tooth. It's about 5 years old, but it's got an internal hard drive. It holds a gig's worth of memory. It's got the external mic jack, and it's probably around $500 for a camera like this. And it does everything that you will ever need a video camera to do. And then last but not least, these guys have been game changers, and this is called a DSLR camera. Now, I've got a Canon here, but there's Nikon. There's all kinds of different manufacturers. But what makes these cameras so different is you can notice here in the right-hand corner, the big honking lenses. See, with these cameras above, you were stuck with whatever lens was there. And video lives and dies by the lens. The bigger the lens, the more light that comes in, the better the quality of the picture. And then obviously the guts of the camera, all the technology that's involved. But these DSLR cameras are now being used by Hollywood to shoot video. They're used to shoot movies, to get that kind of rough in the street kind of feel. But they're actually now starting to take the place of the $100,000 cameras that they were using in Hollywood. Now these cameras are a bit pricey. They start around $700 with the lens. You don't need it. I'm here to tell you that if you've got a webcam, if you've got a flip or any of these entry-level cameras, you can start doing video. Don't let a budget get in your way, because here's the other thing. This is an iPhone. So the iPhone, Galaxy S3, any of the new smartphones today shoot awesome quality video. HD, high quality video to be exact, 1080p, which means it'll fill up a widescreen TV. So here we have a little iPhone, but here's where it gets really neat. With the iPhone came a whole explosion of devices, accessories for producing video. So this thing here, this is called an Owl Bobo. And it's a case made of aluminum, I can never get that word right. But the iPhone snaps, see the bottom right-hand corner, you see how it snaps in. Well, here's where it gets really funky. It came with a built-in microphone. It's got a wide-angle lens. And at the bottom of this case, it's got two drilled holes, so you can actually mount this to a tripod. And in essence, now you've got a movie studio. Because when you think about what an iPhone does, it's got basic editing software on it. So you can shoot the video. You can upload it to Facebook. You can upload it to YouTube. You are a TV studio. Ready to go. The other thing, another accessory, this is a balancer. So you put the iPhone, it snaps into this clamp, and I say iPhone, it could be any new smartphone. This takes the shakiness out. It's called a Steadicam, and it balances the shot. Now I know these are accessories, you don't necessarily need any of them, but I'm just showing you where this has all evolved in the past few years. So video is not going away. And if anybody tells you that you need the big expensive cameras, there's a whole industry built around smartphones. And I'll guarantee you, if they're investing millions of dollars into infrastructure to produce this, they're not going away because they know this is something that's going to be here for a long time. Yep. This thing up here, this is just a little handle with an adapter, and you mount your camera to the end of it, or your cell phone. And now what you can do, you don't need a second person holding the camera to shoot you. By holding this in your hand, you can now walk and talk. Hopefully you don't need a helmet when you do this. But when you're walking and talking into the camera, because it's on a pole like this, it mirrors how you walk. So it will take out the bounciness that you see when people hold a camera and try to walk. So it's actually steady. And this little thing here, it could be called a monopod. There's different terminologies for this, but I'll call it a monopod. They're basically 30 bucks. So with your cell phone, with the little adapter, you can now be shooting your own videos out on the street, walking at the beach, doing neighborhood tours, all that kind of stuff that makes your videos that much more compelling. And last but not least, here's just a basic tripod. And again, you can see that your cell phone just snaps right into it, and you're shooting videos just like a pro. But what really got me excited is this bad boy, the iPad. Now, a bit of context here. I am a PC guy, and I say that with great pride as I thump my chest. I swore that I would never buy an Apple product. I would not drink the Kool-Aid. And a buddy of mine by the name of Mike Stewart, he's the guy that got me into doing video years ago. In fact, I flew all the way down to Atlanta to take his workshop, 30 people in a room, all with our laptops and our cameras. We spent 2 days trying to learn how to do software, trying to learn how to do editing. When I got home, it sat on the shelf. And one of the metaphors, like the greatest barrier between you and success, is the cellophane around the last product you bought. And I suffer from that as well. I took the course, I had all the stuff, I just wouldn't use it. It was one of those things, yeah, I'll get to it. I don't know what it was, I just didn't see the return on investment. And there's all kinds of things that were in play, and I'll share those with you in a sec, because I want you to get through those barriers, the same ones that I went through. But the point is, there was a certain amount of complexity involved. With this iPad, you can now shoot video with the iPad. You can edit video on the iPad, and unlike a cell phone, it's got a nice piece of real estate. That screen is big enough for you to do editing on. And once again, by just pressing a simple button, you're now uploading the videos to the web. So you can be producing an unlimited amount of content on the fly where you're literally at Starbucks sipping on a coffee to get this done. So take a look at some of this stuff. This is still an iPad, but it's mounted into a case. Now this is a special case. It's called a Makiyama case, and they sell for about $90 to $120. But what's really neat about this case is the iPad snaps in, and look over here, you'll see it's got a built-in microphone that you can plug in. It has the ability here on the top that you can put in a light, so to light up whatever you're trying to shoot. And it's got this here, it's a wide angle lens. So when it comes to doing virtual tours, this is where most the smartphones fall down, most cameras fall down. The lenses aren't equipped to do the whole interior of a room. They're not wide angle. This already comes with the wide angle lens. So again, you've got the all-in-one virtual tour solution, and even better, it mounts right onto a tripod. So again, you've got the all-in-one TV production studio. Now this is another version made by a different manufacturer. This is called the Podcaster. And instead of being made out of plastic, it's made out of, Josh, that word again, aluminum, the stuff that beer cans are made out of. And on the inside, this is polyurethane. So it's actually kind of like foamy and spudgy. So the iPad mounts inside that case. The big difference is because it's made out of metal, it's going to endure more. It'll take more punishment. But again, you can see here at the top and on the sides, it's got all these different slots and screw holes to mount all the accessories. So you can mount the light. This is a wireless microphone. This is a point and shoot mic, or they would call it a shotgun mic. The ability to plug in a headset. But remember, this is basically an iPad. But they've tricked it out in such a way that this is now a full-blown TV studio. They're actually walking around trade shows, shooting video with the iPad, heading back to a coffee shop, doing some basic editing, and then publishing that video. This was unheard of years ago. This is basically $1 million production studio. And I'm not trying to make a joke of this. Literally, this is $1 million production studio. This is what it would have cost a TV studio to have the big camera, to have the lights, to have all the editing that's going on. You can now do this from your iPad. And the reason I'm so excited about this is because more and more realtors already have an iPad. So remember what I said right at the beginning. It's not about going out and buying stuff that you don't need. It's how can I use what's already at my disposal? The iPad with a few affordable little apps, and one of them is iMovie. My gosh, iMovie is the editing software that you need. It's $5 for iMovie. There are other editing softwares you can pay up to $700, $800 for editing software. On the iPad, $5. And the reason I focus on the iPad, again, being a PC lover, is because no one in the PC realm or Android has nailed it yet when it comes to video editing. They can do video, but this editing software right now, proprietary to Mac, they got it right because they were all about doing multimedia. iMovie on the iPad, it's like gin and tonic, rum and coke, suntan lotion on the beach. They just go together seamlessly.
So let me stop you there because I do have a few questions, Mike. So we'll just get caught up here. So Mike M, is there a mic which you can use on iPhone or iPad? Michael's given you a couple of examples there. There are lots of options. Can you repeat the case on the right?
Yeah, bottom right hand. Sure. It's called a Makiyama case. And gotcha. You can find, so I'll give you a couple places where you can find these. Amazon is one. But when you buy it on Amazon, you just get the case. It will not come with the lens. This is a slider where you can see my mouse. So when you snap the case or the iPad into the case, this lens will slide out of the way because there isn't a lens yet, and it will reveal the built-in lens to the iPad. There's a company called HD Hat. Mark Passerby is the guy that owns it. And when it comes to anything to do with mobile devices, hdhat.com, they've got all the accessories. So what Mark has done is he's bought a whole boatload of these Makiyama cases, and he's modified them for real estate. He's gone out and he's got the lens that you need and already attached it into the case, so you don't have to look for it. He's got all the microphones, he's got all the accessories, he puts them together in different bits and pieces and packages, and he is my guy. When I need anything for my iPad, that's the first place I look because it saves me a whole lot of hurt of going anywhere else. And in answer to your question about microphones, in a few more slides, Josh, I've got some of the mics that they can look for.
Cool. Well, then just I think just one other question before we get to that. I've got, let me just see here. The Kodak, there's the ZI-8. What was the second one?
The second one was called the ZI-10 or PlayTouch. It goes by both names. If you do a Google search for Kodak PlayTouch, that will come up. In essence, they were both the same camera. The difference was the PlayTouch was the newer one, and it had some basic editing software which would allow you to trim the video. So you can do that right now on your iPhone. On Androids, you can do it as well, but you have to find a third-party software, an app that you download. But if I use it in context of the iPhone for a second, you shoot your movie. Well, as you're lining up your movie, usually it's a bit shaky. The first couple of frames, first couple of seconds, you want to be able to trim that off. And at the end, when you hit the stop button on your camera, same thing. It's kind of shaky while you're trying to find that button. Well, what the trimming software will allow you to do is cut off that bit at the beginning, the bit at the end, so you have a better quality video.
Cool. Cool, cool. All right, let's keep going.
All right. So some of the accessories you're asking about microphones, one of the cheapest entry-level mics is this one here. It's by Audio-Technica, and it's called the 3350 lapel mic. And if you're going to use this with any camera, so let's say the Kodak cameras, let's say any consumer-style camera, not a cell phone, but a camera, this is perfect. If you're going to use it on an iPhone or an Android, you'll need to get this little adapter cable, because the hole in the phone, this is where the cable plugs into the phone, and then the microphone plugs into this. Now, a lapel mic, that's what you'll see news anchors have. It's a lapel because it mounts right onto their lapel, onto their shirt, onto their jacket, and it's usually about 6 inches below their chin, and it captures exceptional audio quality. Here on the right, this is just a basic stick mic that you hold in your hand. So if you want to be the man on the streets that's doing interviews, and that's huge, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but same thing, just plugs into your camera. Over here, this is an example of a wireless mic, and wireless means that unlike these microphones here where it's plugged into the camera, I'm kind of like a dog on a leash. I can only go as far as the leash allows me. With a wireless wireless mic, you have what's called a transmitter. That's this part. That plugs into the camera. And it transmits, it's the receiver. The transmitter is the part that you clip onto your belt, and then you put your microphone into the transmitter, put it onto your lapel. Now you can walk away from the camera. Again, it's wireless, so I'm not tethered. And usually they work up to about 200 feet. So the advantage here is I can move around. I'm not stuck to the camera. I don't have to worry about tripping over stuff. Entry-level wirelesses are about 150. Companies like Asden make them. And then this is a Sennheiser. These guys are like $700. That's professional grade, but you can find something in the middle. But again, let's go back to what we talked about. You don't need this kind of stuff right now because this here, the little the Audio-Technica 3350, it's about 20, 25 bucks. That will do the job. This handheld microphone here, you can find one at Best Buy. This is a Sony, about $20. And this one here, it's called a shotgun mount. That one mounts to the top of the camera. And remember, let me go back a step. Here on the case, so it fits in right at the top. These things as well, they're probably around $100. Now, the thing about a microphone is you will absolutely get what you pay for. The better quality microphone, the better quality of sound. And here's a secret about video, behind video. People will forgive a shaky video, but the audio, there's something about when we're listening to the audio, if it's crappy, if it's tinny, if it's hard to listen to, if there's a lot of background noise and distortion, people will walk away after the first 5 seconds. They will disengage. That's why audio is so crucial. And having a little lapel mic, again, for the 30 bucks, 20 bucks, it's a no-brainer investment to get really good sound. But here's another thing. This is an iPhone. Actually, it's a Galaxy. Yeah, it's an iPhone. This little headset, it comes with the iPhone. And built into the headset is a microphone. So you can already start doing high-quality video, 1080p, which is high-def video, with the little earbuds so you can hear what you're saying, and it's got the built-in mic. And you will have exceptional audio quality. And here's the thing, you didn't have to spend any extra money because it came with the phone. So again, first line of defense, what is it that you can do without having to spend money on? Second line of defense, what's the least expensive stuff that will give me the biggest return? Microphone first, the rest comes after that. Now, the other reason audio is so important, let's pretend for a second that your video here is at the center of the universe. So audio is crucial because with editing software, I can pull out the audio. And with that audio, I now have an MP3, which in essence is a podcast. I can send that audio out to the different podcasting social sharing sites. I can use it on my site. I can have people download the audio, but it's a separate thing now from the video. The audio can be transcribed, so now I have text that I can send out to all the social media sites and on blog sites. So when you put it all together, in essence, what I've done is I've created one modality, which is the video. But from that video, I've created 3 different modalities because I've got the moving pictures, so I've got visual, I've got auditory, which is the podcast, and I've got the textual, which is the print, which is the transcription. So putting that all together, when it comes to SEO, and I know this is getting a bit advanced there, but the more you can increase your digital footprint with links back to your site, that's what you want to do. So again, video with a half-decent editing software will allow you to do this. And in fact, when you upload your video to YouTube, YouTube has a transcription service, so it's already doing the text there for you. So remember earlier I said that video doesn't have to be perfect. And one of the examples I like to refer to is this movie here. It's called The Blair Witch Project. I don't know if you've seen it. It literally, I mean, it scared the crap out of me the first time I saw it. It was black and white with some color. It was shaky. It was this, the voyeuristic nature where they're running around through the field. So it was basically a horror story. But the one thing you'll notice about this is the audio quality was spot on. When you listen to the movie, and I say listen as opposed to watch it, the audio is dead on. So it cost them $24,000 to produce this movie. To date, it's grossed over $240 million. So this is kind of testimony to the fact that the video doesn't have to be perfect. It needs to be done. And remember that first stat that we had at the beginning, 4 billion videos are viewed each and every single day. Don't worry about trying to be perfect. I would sooner that you focus on sloppy success, getting it done, versus perfected in action, meaning that you're sitting there thinking about it, but you never do it. Video is huge in terms of attracting clients, converting clients into, well, let's go back a step, taking prospects, suspects, converting them into customers. And remember, the whole thing about video at its root core is that ability for people to get to know, like, and trust you. And I'm going to repeat that again. Know, like, and trust you, because they get that opportunity in advance. Because what happens, and I get this all the time when I'm traveling, people come up, they shake my hand, they start asking me about my cat welfare, what was it like kayaking on the weekend? And I'm trying to remember who these people are. And I'm actually at a disadvantage. And then I realized I've never met them. It's because they're living vicariously through the videos I produce. I share a bit of who I am, the fact that I'm a kayaker, that I play banjo. I do videos about that stuff. So when they meet me, there's this automatic friendship. So if I put that back into context of real estate, think about how much effort we put into trying to convince people to work with us. And we think about scripts and dialogues and really creative words and NLP to try to get people to do something they don't want to do. When they watch your videos, they make that decision, whether or not they want to work with you. And when they do, when they make that decision, it's a stronger bond, it's a friendship. Now, Floyd Wickman will say, hey, I'm going to lose the same amount of clients, I'm going to lose them faster. It's exactly the same with video. But the people that make that decision have already decided that you're the person. So when you meet them, it's no longer you trying to convince them, to beg them to work with you. The focus is now, how can I serve you? And that is so much a nicer place to be, that you don't have to be manipulative. It's about applying your skills now to help them solve a problem, which is to find or sell a home. Does that make sense, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Good.
So, some basic editing software, and editing software is crucial. And in the PC world, you already get Windows Movie Maker is there. On the Mac world, iMovie's there. And again, you can spend hundreds of dollars on software. Entry-level software, which is great. Sony's got one here. It's called Movie Studio. It's about 60, 70 bucks. Adobe Premiere Elements on the PC, another awesome one. Avid Studio. There's all kinds of softwares out there. The reason you want to start looking at software is now you can take your video and really start doing stuff to it. You can add what's called a lower third, which is your name, contact info. You can bring in other images over top of the video. So now what you're actually doing is you're creating a story. And on top of that, you can bring in music because music creates a mood. And remember, at its core, video is all about telling a story. And if you nail the right elements, which is creating that mood, being engaging, being entertaining, solving that problem. Remember we talked about at the beginning, problem, agitate, solve. That if I'm solving somebody's problem, all this, you can just up that game so much more with editing software. And again, these softwares now are so much easier to use than they were before. Again, going back to an iPad, iMovie, my gosh, $5, no brainer. I mean, you absolutely have. If you've got an iPad, you have to get iMovie. Have to. But if you don't want to do video editing, I'll guarantee you that any local high school has students that are learning multimedia that already grew up using this technology. So I'm kind of behind the eight ball. I'm 52. I had to learn all this stuff. You know, being a dinosaur, for me to go out there and learn this, it was cumbersome. It was kind of like, you know, pulling armpit hair out with a fork. I mean, it was really hard. It was aggravating. It's gotten easier with the iPad. And this new software makes it a lot easier. But your job is to be up front of the camera producing content. If you don't want to learn how to do the editing, high school students will do it for about $5, $6 an hour. And they will do a fantastic job, and there's no shortage of high school students willing to do this. The other thing is, I made reference to HD Hat earlier. HD Hat will take your videos, and they actually have a formula that they use. So this is in context of how to do kind of like a virtual tour. That's their specialty. You shoot a series of videos, and they walk you through how to do it, and they're probably 30 seconds to 45-second little clips. You upload the clips via Dropbox. They will take all the videos, they will edit them, put them together, and they will produce the final product, which is the virtual tour. Now they charge, I think it's anywhere between $29 and $39 per virtual tour, but they do everything for you. They host it, they syndicate it, they do the SEO, they post it to YouTube, and they also do some cool special effects. For all you Remax cats out there, they've got the Remax balloon that flies in from space. They've done something now with Keller Williams and logos, and I think they're bringing on all the major brands. So again, if you don't want to learn how to do the editing, don't let that be an excuse. Companies like HD Hat will do it for you. Now, I'm mentioning this company. I don't get anything out of them. But again, they've got all the stuff that when I'm looking for accessories, Mark Passerby and his team, top-notch, excellent when it comes to customer service. So the next question is the actual content. What is it that when I get out front of the camera, what is it that I'm going to say? What is it that I'm going to do? What is the content to producing video? I'm going to share with you, this is the easy part. So I'm going to share with you, I said at the beginning, I think 9 different things. First one, very quickly, glossary of terms. Within real estate, we have all kinds of terms that we throw back and forth, you know, VTB, FSBO. Our customers haven't got a clue what those mean. So you can make a list of all the terms that we do a video that says, here's the term, give the answer, short and sweet. You're creating a whole series of videos. How to, remember I mentioned at the beginning, how to is one of the most common search terms right now. How to stage a home, how to prepare your home for a showing, how to sell your home yourself. You know, whatever it is that you want to put how to up front of, that's content you can be doing. Frequently asked questions. If you think about questions that you get all the time from home buyers, home sellers, write them down, because whenever you get one question, chances are they're going to be repeated. Other customers are going to ask you the same thing. You can shoot a video addressing each one of those as part of a series. Affinity partners. I love this one because you can make money from this. If you think about a real estate transaction and all the different hands that get involved, you've got a lender, you've got a title company, you've got an inspector, you've got a termite inspector. You can make a list of all the different partners that are involved in the transaction. You get your video camera, you shoot a 1-minute interview of them explaining what it is that they bring to the table. Why are they so crucial in the transaction? I know realtors that have done this that are getting, sit down for this, they're getting $200 a month per partner because they shot the video, they're hosting the video, they're getting paid for this. Now, again, you've got to check with RESPA to find out what the rules and regulations are in your state, but they're actually making money from producing video on a monthly basis because that home inspector, that title inspector, that mortgage guy couldn't do the video, the realtor could. And so now what's happening is the realtor's getting the benefit of creating the content, but this affinity partner, the home inspector, is now putting that realtor's video on his site. with a link back to the realtor's site. So here's this whole viral nature starting to kick in and how different sites link back and forth to one another. Buyer-seller tips, we talked about that. Home tours, I mean, that's a given. Neighborhood tours. This one is really cool because, once again, when somebody's thinking about buying a home, before they buy a home, they're buying the neighborhood. You can go to all the different amenities, the shops, the schools, the churches, places of worship. All that kind of stuff is important to somebody that's looking to buy a home. But more importantly, that's called evergreen. So when you do a virtual tour, here's kind of the dilemma. You spend all this time and effort doing a virtual tour, you put it up there, we want the home to sell. When the home sells, depending again upon what state or town you're in and what board you belong to and what the regulations are, they may force you to take down that virtual tour because the home is sold. So when that happens, all that work has gone to naught. But an evergreen video is the neighborhood, it's the shops, it's all that stuff that we talked about, which is branded to you. It's one more opportunity for people to get to know, love, and trust you, but it's the kind of content that doesn't change. Restaurants seldom change. Museums, schools seldom change. So when you do that kind of content, it's up there for a very, very long time, and it's like a beacon that's pointing back to your website. Client endorsements, otherwise known as testimonials, that is huge. Going back to that book I talked about at the beginning, Cialdini's book on influence, third-party endorsements are huge because we want to work with people that are like ourselves. And when we give endorsements, when somebody sees a testimonial, that goes to your credibility. And again, they're looking for shortcuts so they don't have to make the decision. Interviews, that's what I've kind of made my bread and butter on. It positions you as the authority. Your rants, getting up front of the camera, what's bothering you today, what's happening in the marketplace, a 60-second little rant. You can do reviews on products and services. Did you know? That's kind of like how to. And last but not least, personal email. Actually, one more here, 10 by 10. 10 by 10 is kind of neat because to create a series of videos, what you would do is get a yellow pad of paper, and let's say you're looking at this from a seller's perspective. What are the 10 most common questions that a seller always asks you? Write down those 10 questions. And you as a savvy real estate professional know that there are 10 more questions that they would ask if they knew to ask those questions because they don't know what they don't know. So now you've got 20 questions. So you get in front of your webcam or your camcorder, whatever it is that you're using, your cell phone, and you start off by introducing yourself. And in this video, we're going to talk about, and here's question number 1. You give them the answer to the question, you keep it engaging, you have fun, you summarize what you just told them, and at the end, remember the call to action. You've got a 20-part series. That's for home sellers. You do the same thing for home buyers. Now you've got a 40-part video series. And last but not least, this one's really simple. Facebook greetings. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many deals I've got from this. By just taking the time in the morning to do a quick, using my webcam, to do a happy birthday greeting. Just wishing somebody a happy birthday. Do you know how special they feel when you took the time to actually do something? It's one thing to send a text saying, happy birthday on Facebook. They get gazillions of those. But to actually get in front of a webcam and say the person's name, because in our ears, when we hear our name, that's like magic. That's milk and honey to us when we hear our own name. And then to take it one step further and give them a personal message, oh my gosh, you want to talk about building relationships hyper quick? That one's a super shortcut, Facebook greetings. So I touched on virtual tours. I'm not a big proponent on virtual tours, but because it's kind of like the lowest part of the equation when it comes to video. But if you are going to get into virtual tours, here's some things you need. Number 1, get a tripod to eliminate the shakiness, or one of those cases that I showed you so you've got something to grip. Make sure you've got plenty of good natural light coming in. Remember, never aim your camera into the light. You want to have your back to the light, back to the windows. There's certain apps that you can get onto the iPad. One is called Filmic Pro that helps adjust the lighting. Again, it's only a few bucks. Audio, now this is kind of neat. You can go through the home, do the tour, and you can record the audio afterwards. So if you're nervous about what to say, you don't know what to say, you can take your time afterwards and do the audio. A little trick that I have, if I have to do like a content video and I want to make sure that I hit all the points, I just take a piece of paper and I mark down what are the 3 or 5 points that I want to hit. I tape that below my camera. Now, when I look at the camera, I'm about 3 feet away and I'm looking at it, you can't tell that I'm looking at the notes below the camera. This helps keep me focused, on track, and moving. Now, this ties into writing a script. Some people can't do it off the cuff. It's always good to have a script, or at least, like I said, bullet points that are guiding you through. The last thing you want to do is rant on about nothing, because people will disengage. You have to have a point. So to keep on point, that helps. You want to create an emotional experience. This is really huge. When you're doing a video, don't talk about the taxes. Don't talk about the lot size. Don't talk about the things that they can already read on the MLS sheet that you give them, on the feature sheet. You want to hit them with the emotions. In advertising, it's called sell the sizzle, not the steak. And the same is true with virtual tours. What I do is I actually get my home seller involved in the tour. Now, this one nugget I'm going to share with you, this is worth, Josh, you're asking for a golden nugget. If I haven't shared a whole bunch of them, this one is worth the price of admission. By getting your seller involved, instead of going through every single home or every single room in the house, I focus on 3 or 4 of the main rooms. Maybe it's the family room, the backyard, something that has a really special interest. And I have the home seller there, and I film the home seller sharing with me why that room was so special. What was it about this home that made it so special? Because here's the thing. Remember we talked about Cialdini? One of those principles is like. People that are going to be watching this video are now watching the home seller. The home seller is not selling the home. They're telling a story. They're reliving the experience that they had in that home. So chances are that buyer is now going to resonate with that seller for the exact same reasons that that seller bought the home in the first place. So this is no longer, here's the toilet and over here is the backsplash, all that wonderful stuff, whatever. This is now going back to the heart of video, which is a story. And when you add the music and everything else to make it more engaging, that's the secret sauce that sells.
That's great.
That's
awesome.
Sorry, Josh?
That's awesome. That's a great tip. Yeah.
And I mentioned here, not repeating taxes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Josh, you were saying?
No, I've never heard or seen anybody else do that, and that you will stand out in a crowd of typical, listing videos by doing
you hit the magic word there, Josh, which is crowd, because now you have to think about it. When we look at a movie, when we go to the theater, we're looking for the hero of the story. So if my home seller is involved in that process, who is the hero of that story? It's the home seller. Yeah. Do you think that that home seller is now going to want to share that video with their sphere, meaning to their friends, their family, their people at work, their people that they do recreation with? Their whole sphere of influence is now going to see that video because they're going to push it out there. So when we talk about building referrals, when we talk about making videos viral, this is what happens. This is like on the grassroots level of how to get your video out there. But more importantly, now it is your home seller telling their friends about what a wonderful job their agent is doing without coming out and saying what a wonderful job you're doing. But the reverse of that is also true, because what it's saying is, hey, my agent's not doing this. Why am I working with this knucklehead? I should be working with this pro that's doing this kind of out-of-the-box marketing. And again, it's all about positioning yourself as not being a commodity, because that's what's happened in our business now. We've been pulled down to the common denominator of commission. And if we can't differentiate ourselves from the competitors, if it's just about price, then you might as well hang up your hat right now and go work at McDonald's, because at least you'll be fed and get a uniform. The challenge now in this new millennia is positioning yourself as the trusted authority, but you are the gatekeeper. Somehow you've got the information that people want and they want to work with you. You are the specialist. It's like if I've got a heart problem, I want to go to a heart specialist. I'm not going to go to the grocer or to the butcher. I want to go to that person that I know can solve my problem. Remember, problem, agitate, solve. So that's basically the home tour stuff. And again, just to knock it home, it's all about the story. Remember, when you're doing a video, it's about being entertaining. It's about being transparent and open, being yourself. You're telling a story. So let's get into YouTube. And the reason YouTube is so powerful, number one, Google owns it. It's the largest repository of videos on the planet. And I call it a two-edged sword for a number of reasons. Now, this is a realtor. out of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. His name's Tom Everett. And Tom, really novel guy. When you look here at the background, you would think that this is a professional studio that he's got built. This is actually his garage. And what he did in his garage, he put up a sheet of drywall and he painted it this nice burgundy color. Notice here in the background, he's got some diplomas. I can't read what those diplomas are. He could have bought them at Walmart for all I know. But again, going back to Cialdini and influence, seeing these things on the background psychologically already positions him as an authority because these look like diplomas. They look like PhDs. They look like awards. So we're already tipping our hat to this guy without realizing it, admonishing him as being an authority. And in the background, he's got what he's going to be talking about today. So again, this is all done in his garage, and he was using at the time a simple flip camera. Audio wasn't really that great, but he was doing it. He would post it to YouTube, and off it went. The downside of YouTube is when I look over here to the right, YouTube has this nasty habit of positioning my video with my competitors' videos. That's why I am a big proponent on self-hosting. And I'm not going to get into that today, but there are different sites. There's Vimeo, EasyWeb Video, Vidler. There's all different places where you can upload your video. We as realtors, unfortunately, like things that are free. Free comes with a cost. It's like doing business at Starbucks. I can meet my clients there. We can conduct business. I can walk them back to the car, and then I realize I left my laptop or my my tablet on the coffee table. I run back, and I'm praying that it's still there. There's no guarantee. YouTube is the same thing. It's a free repository of videos. There is no guarantee that your videos will be there. And here's what happens. When you copy the embed code, this is the shortcut for getting videos to appear on your site or in your blog. You upload it to YouTube, you copy that code, you put it on your web page, and the video player, this part here, will appear on your page. If they ever shut down your account for whatever reason, every single video on every single web page will now go black, and there'll be a little message in it saying violation of terms of service or terms of use. And now you have to fight with YouTube to get your channel turned back on. Now, I'm not saying not to use YouTube. I use YouTube for SEO. I use it for syndicating my videos. But when it comes to hosting my content, I do it on one of these services that I recommended because now I've got complete control. I still use YouTube, but for that primary hosting, that's where I put my videos. That's where I then get that embed code that I paste on my site. The other thing is you notice down here in the bottom right-hand corner, it says number of views. Now, when you're looking for an expert, again, this is very subtle, and you do it without even realizing that you're doing it. When you look down here and you see that the video's only been played a few times, the first thing that comes to mind is what does this guy know about the topic? Obviously nothing, because nobody is watching his videos. This could be the preeminent authority on rocket science, but nobody's watched the video. I'm going to just basically say, hey, this guy doesn't know anything. I'm going to go on to the next video over here, hunting for the guy that does. So you've done all this effort to create a video. You've uploaded it. You've done all this effort to get people to come to your site, but now they end up on YouTube, and within a few clicks, they forgot how they got there, and now they're gone. So that's why I call it a double-edged sword. Again, getting back to Tom, the power video, he was doing so many videos that the local TV station came down and did an interview of him doing a video in his garage. I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's so
this guy here, Chuck Carlton, he did $300,000 last year in commissions from video. And yeah, I'm going to repeat that. $300,000 last year in commissions from doing video. This is his webcam. And what Chuck does is he gives you the insider access to all the hot new listings that have come out. And that's nothing new. We've had, you know, the get on my insider list and you automatically get a list of updated homes. He's taken that one step further. So when you come to his site, he's got a teaser video that basically says, how would you like to know the inside scoop on all the properties? You know, how they're priced. Are they overpriced? He gives them the real estate agent expert opinion on what those homes are like. Is it a hot deal? Is it a pig? Should I stay away from it? But to get access to that, you have to opt in. So you have to put in your name and password. So now he's generating a database. And then he automatically emails that database every single day when he comes out with a new video. Now all he basically does, now when you get into the site, now that I've become a client, if you will, or a customer, the video is him up front of his webcam going through his MLS dailies, and he uses a piece of software that does screen capture. So he is looking at his computer screen as you are watching the computer screen with him, and he's just going through the little pictures that come with that listing. And he knows his area, so he'll say, yeah, I know this place. It's on 123 Anywhere Street. Yeah, they got it listed for 150. You know, it's a bit high because I know the last one sold for 135. You know, they may be smoking dope here. It's priced high. Or it could be, this is the hottest deal that I see right now. Absolutely something I would give 2 thumbs up for, jump on it. But the point is, we always want access to that golden information. We want to be part of the insiders club. He's made 300 grand last year by making people feel like they're on the inside using a webcam. Ian Watt, this is another good example. Ian has his phone on his dashboard. Every single day he does a 1-minute rant. And Ian, what you see is what you get. His stuff is raw. It's in your face. He'll talk about the market. He'll talk about what knuckleheads his competition is. He doesn't care. And when you meet him, there is a total congruency between what you see on the camera or what you see on your screen to what you're going to meet live face-to-face. So again, that whole authenticity. Now, some people don't like that, and that's okay because he doesn't want to work with those people. He wants the people that want to be with him, people that are like him. And again, we talked about this, and I keep hitting it home with you guys, know, like, and trust. That's what video does. So when they make that decision, they already know, like, and trust you. So it's a really good example. Take a look at what Ian's got going on there. Now, this is a biggie. When it comes to, so we've already talked about, you know, the importance of video, the equipment, getting started. You know, there's really no roadblock because you have everything. And what's stopping you? I've got it down into 2 things here. You've got excuses and you've got reasons. Now, excuses, it's expensive, it's too hard to do, I don't have the time. Those are excuses. But you can justify your excuses with coming up with reasons. I'm too ugly to be on camera. I'll sound dumb because I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do when up front of the camera. Those are all reasons. But in essence, the 2 intersect at a place called fear. And we've got this thing about not wanting to look silly. And when it comes to doing video, I mean, it's something foreign. It's new to us. It's like when I first started doing podcasting, when I heard my voice for the first time, I thought, oh my gosh, who is this guy? But then the more I did it, the more I got used to it, and then it hit me, hey, this is what people hear all the time. When you're doing video, it's the same kind of thing. You have to get over the fact that this is what you look like, not particularly this guy here on the screen, but people want that authentic you. So the shortcut, the easiest way to do this is get out in front of a webcam and just start doing videos. And you don't even have to publish these videos. Just start doing them. And the more you do, the easier it will get for you. It will become second nature. So I'm here to tell with you, excuses and reasons do not justify the fear. You can get through this. And I'll address the fear. I've done some work with a guy by the name of Dr. Clef Beard, clinical psychologist. I'm going to share with you some of his stuff, which will help eliminate fear, not only in video, but in real estate altogether.